As a moving business owner, your day starts with a plan. But what happens when your movers don't show and that plan falls apart? Last minute no-shows. You're left to bootstrap, jumping in as an extra body. Yet sometimes, even that's not enough. This isn't just a disruption, it's a barrier to your business growth. Introducing Moving Force, your on-demand moving team. With Moving Force, say goodbye to no-shows and hello to peace of mind. With reliable, on-demand staff ensures you're never undermanned, turning your operational nightmares into a thing of the past. Moving Force, where every day is moving day and every move is smooth. Empower your business and keep growing without missing a beat. Join Moving Force today and move forward with confidence.
So, welcome to another episode of Mornings with Movers. I'm Dwyght with Moving Force and Mack's Moving Training, and we got Ernest Peña in the building today with 300X. Super excited to have him here to share his experience, especially with the industry and where he believes it's going. So, Ernest, how's everything been going?
Everything's good. I appreciate you having me on.
No problem, no problem. So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So basically, without boring you to death, I'm a second generation mover. This is actually my 40th year in the industry, and started out as a kid, hanging rubber bands, folding pads, and 1985 was my first summer. Most of my experience in the industry has been as an owner operator. I spent about combined 10 years in operations and dispatch, did some warehouse managing, and then in 2022, me and my business partner Juan Mata started 300X Academy.
Okay. And what is that 300X Academy that most people may or may not know about?
So 300X Academy was originally started. Both him and I were doing what is called no-touch traders, which is when the industry will send a freight trailer or a railroad car of some sort and have a crew out in front of the house to pack and load it and wrap it and get it inventoried. And so we were finding that there was a high demand starting about 2013, 14, and then it really kicked in 2017, 18, 19, 2020. And so we were doing a lot of business without knowing each other, and haggling rates, trying to learn that part of the industry. And then we came together in 2022 to train guys. So we train crew leaders. Now it's graduated to training drivers, company owners, operations managers. We have people flying in from from Canada, all over the country to Los Angeles. We have a studio, a fully equipped studio there, and we'll do training there. And most of it is we'll train movers etiquette, we'll train customer service, claims prevention, we train paperwork, and then we do skills training, wrapping, packing, loading, those types of things.
Okay, nice. And you are talking about language when you talk about movers etiquette. Because that's one of the things, especially with my training program that we focused heavily on, is like, hey, how is your approach when you come to that door for customers? Is your movers, let's say, okay, hypothetically speaking, you got a three-man crew, you pull up to the customer's house, and while you're the driver backing up or whatever the case is, obviously, you should have a guide. So your mover gets out the truck and he's like, hey, come on back. And as he's backing you up and you get lined up, you're in the parking spot, you put the truck in park. What is that mover doing? Because the customer, one, came out the house already. They see you backing up, so they're like, oh, let me open the door for them because they're about to come in. And that mover, first thing he might do, if not trained properly, is, hey, how are you? My name is da 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 da. Okay. One, we got off to a wrong step. I commend you for introducing yourself to, warm the customer down. But now the customer is going to kind of think that she could talk to anyone on the day to move because obviously you introduce yourself as a mover. And you introduce yourself. She didn't know you was a mover, team lead, whoever. So our recommendation was, hey, let the team leader go up, let the team leader introduce himself, and then everybody else on the team, and then kind of set the tonality of how the day is going to go, so that now the customer knows, okay, well, hey, this is the leader, this is who I should be talking to, versus talking to every single person, and then the messages get missed. And now they're disgruntled because they're like, I told that guy over there not to take this stuff, and nobody else heard me, apparently, and he didn't deliver the message. So that's not my fault that you guys are doing all this extra work. So it's the little stuff that goes
Correct.
into to making your move go successful.
Correct. Yeah, I think a lot of guys don't understand, and one of the things that we are able to teach in the academy is everybody on the team, from the person, the sales team, the coordinator, operations, the way they communicate with the crew, and the crew themselves. Everybody's involved in the sales process because you might be there that day, trying to get the job done, but every move, everything that you do has to be intentional to continue to earn their business and everybody they're connected to in the future. Everybody becomes part of the sales process. And I tell people all the time, my dad, he's 75 years old. He's been in the industry for 55 years, and he's moving, great grandchildren from families that he moved in the 70s. And it's like, what kind of a service do you have to provide to guarantee that you're still getting business 3 generations later? And so a lot of guys are just there for that day, for that money. It's just a job. But in reality is, you know, if you win that customer over in everything that you do, and like you said, very important, the little details, is what wins a customer over. And there's a lot of details that we teach in our academy. But you actually employ a salesperson in a customer. When you win them over, they start telling everybody they know about their moving experience, and they're the ones that are going out and getting you the leads for your next moves that will come in October, November, December, January, February. And people don't understand that. Everything you do has to be intentional.
When your team isn't trained, mistakes happen. Jobs go wrong. Customers complain. And your business? It suffers. At Mack's Moving Training, we help moving companies like yours build strong, reliable teams from the inside out. From mover and driver training to sales, operations, marketing, and leadership, we give your people the skills to succeed. When everyone is trained, everything runs smoother and your business grows stronger. Training isn't optional. It's essential. Stop guessing. Start training. Join Mack's Moving Training today.
Definitely, definitely. So now, I don't know. I know you said your level of training was more on the guys that's on the ground for the most part. Now,
Correct. We focus primarily from the dispatch window down to the curb, down to the customer's house. That's
okay,
where we focus on. We realize that there's a lot of companies that do training, and they focus on from operations up to ownership. And we have our niche is from the dispatch window down to the curb.
okay. So when it comes now, is that including sales?
We don't really get involved in the training of sales. We don't do that. We're like I said, we have relationships and network with companies who do, but that was not our intention, not our focus. Maybe that's something that the academy will grow into later on. But as of right now, we're intentionally focused from if somebody comes to us and say, "Hey, Ernie, I got a great sales, I get a lot of leads, but I'm having a lot of trouble with my teams and my guys," and so I tell people, look, you can have the greatest lead system in the world, you can be getting customers, but if your moving guys are not aligned parallel with what you're trying to do in sales, then you're not going to be able to produce the quality out on the street that you're selling in your advertisement.
Hmm. Okay. Well, welcome, Mr. Late Ryan.
Sorry, gentlemen. Yes, I didn't realize, obviously just getting off the road here after 4 weeks of Travels, honestly, I didn't realize it was Thursday. I thought it was Wednesday. I really
Yeah.
did. I've been up since 7 cranking away, and I got your text right, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. It's Thursday? So appreciate you letting me know what day of the week it is today.
Oh, always. We can't miss this day.
Oh,
Um, so again, so I told Ernest about you. I don't know if you and him cross paths at some point in time. He has the 300X moving group.
okay. Nice to meet you, man. Very nice. Sorry I'm
You too.
behind here.
It's
I
all
know
good.
Ryan's a part of a lot of groups, so I didn't know if he came across your Facebook group or not. Um, but no, so Ernest, he basically focuses on training the industry. I know he said he mentioned he was an owner operator for quite a bit of time. I don't know, are you still doing the owner operator stuff, Ernest?
So I still have a contract with a company. I took the summer off from being on the road, just some personal changes going on, and just watching the changes that are going on in the industry. So I still got my truck parked and my trailer parked, and I'm currently live in Austin, and just doing some things here this summer to make some transition, getting ready for training season. We've already got some dates booked up. And we're going to actually be doing a first time owner operators training in around September. We're going to be hosting about 25 drivers in California.
Nice, nice. No, and that's awesome. Like, because I feel like a lot of these owner operators, and again, I could be wrong because obviously I don't know too much about that side of the wheelhouse, but I just feel like a lot of them come with their own experience and their own level of cockiness. So, to have them in a room where they're like, oh, well, I want to learn how to do this. It's like interesting. You do?
Yeah. Well, a lot of them don't realize. I mean, I've been, like I said, this is my 40th year in the industry. Most of my tenure has been as an owner operator, and I tell people, when people look at me, they're like, oh, you're coming across as, an expert. And I tell people, no, I'm still a student in the industry. I'm still learning, and a lot of time that deflates the arrogance that they walk into the room with, because a lot of them walk in the room with, like you said, there's a mover's pride, there's a mover's arrogance. It's kind of like the if you know anything about wrestling, the Ric Flair, they got the Ric Flair type of arrogance, and nobody can teach them nothing, right? And so we've been very successful at being able to come across in our trainings where guys are like, man, I wish I would have had this kind of training when I first started.
Yeah. Now I see Ryan over there doing a gesture for Ric Flair. I was about to do it, but I was like, you know what, my mic might just screech. I'll leave it alone.
I did a soft woo. I didn't know if y'all
Yeah,
heard it or not, but I
exactly.
hear Ric Flair. That's the first thing. I actually ran into him in Tampa last year at one of moving conferences. He walked right through the lobby, and I was like, man, I'm not a wrestling guy. I'm like, that looks like Ric Flair. So I kind of like made a little bit of side eye contact, and he turned and did his famous woo, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what's he doing down here? But it's my only experience in the WWE there, I would say.
Yeah. So no, so other than that, I think so. I'm losing my mind, but it's been a lot going on with the moving industry. I know Ryan, you've been doing the whole travel thing. Moving forward, so we still been outreaching to a lot of people or so like that, and we've been hearing a lot of stories about obviously people are running from the people we've been speaking to are running very lean on their crews right now. And that's just because, again, the unpredictability of the summer. Now, obviously, we haven't really had the chance to talk to these big boys that Ryan be going to see, but I think at those levels, you have to have contingencies in place. You're talking about, hey, you're pushing 10 plus trucks. If you don't have contingencies in place for backups, like you're not ready at that level, and you're doomed for failure at that point because you have way too many crews to be managing. And if, X amount of guys go missing and you got 10 all your trucks out for the day, you're in trouble. So that's what we've been hearing, especially from those bigger guys that, hey, yeah, we got, we got either use our warehousemen or we use, we have backups on speed dial or whatever the case is in worst case scenario. And I think I even had up to like 20, 25 guys at one time. And again, we have always had somebody that was just like, hey, you know what? it's 4 crews going out or whatever the case is, there's at least 2 to 3 people that, even though they said they'll show up, they're not gonna show up. So just having those backups definitely a thing, but it is costly to just have them on standby. And when we first started the whole thing, we was like, yeah, we'll call this guy if we need him and he'll come in or whatever the case is. Then we realized how far across town he was and how long it would take them to get to us. And we're like, yeah, that's probably not conducive. Or they probably didn't even wake up because they're like, oh yeah, we're not going to work today. They probably won't need us. And you're like, no, you were supposed to be on backup. So yeah, we started bringing them to the office. And again, now you're paying guys just to sit there, just to say, oh yeah, you can go home. And you're like, oh, my margins are getting eaten up. So, but that was my 2 cents.
Are you in search of a side gig? Get ready to land the ultimate side hustle. Don't let this opportunity slip away. Join Moving Force as a mobile mover. Enjoy the freedom to set your own hours, earn excellent income, and be your own boss. Apply now. Download the app for free, available on the App Store. It's time to make a move, both figuratively and literally.
But like I said, so Ryan, what else has been going on?
Nothing, man. Like onto your point about, potential call-offs and things like that, the companies that were out hitting the road, visiting, I mean, they are large. They're not, you're talking 70 plus truckers, I would say. Now, again, we're meeting with 5 truckers, we're meeting with 10 truckers, the one thing that I'm seeing with these larger organizations is, the care and the culture. Their team cares. The culture that they have created, whether they meant to create it or it just kind of naturally formed, is something I haven't seen in my 14 plus, almost 15 years in the industry. These guys focus on the care of their teammates. They focus on the actual cultural aspect of, they want to have a winning team. They don't just have crews just kind of sitting in the warehouse, just waiting for guys to call off. That's like a no-no, right? Again, me growing up early on in the industry, we had call-offs every day. It was a pain in the butt. It wasn't until we started looking at why are guys calling off? What's making them call off? Are we putting them on back-to-back 10, 12,000 pound local moves 3 days straight? So when it comes Thursday, they're beat, they're whooped, they're shot. I wouldn't want to show up to work either. So diving into how these guys dispatch and what their process and how their sales book, they're not going to put Dwyght on back-to-back ridiculous moves. They're going to put Dwyght on a, real hot job on a Monday, but guess what? On a Tuesday, it might be some lighter work within the warehouse or a 4 or 5,000 pound local. But guess what? Back on Wednesday, Dwyght, you're back to that 7, 8,000 pound pack job, whatever the case may be. So learning the strategy and the process of these big boys, I don't want to say it's been an eye-opening piece because I feel like a lot of companies in this industry are trying to get there. It's just, some of the steps along the way that they might be missing or not dotting the appropriate I's or crossing the appropriate T's there. But it's been impressive. I've been in the Northeast for the past 4 weeks now. Business is booming. Again, I can't speak on behalf of every company in the Northeast, but the ones that we're visiting, we're there at 7 o'clock in the morning while their crews are coming in, watching the staff walk in. I'm listening to the phones ringing off the hook. It just looks like how you see a bunch of ants running across the sidewalk. It's just like that. I mean, everybody has a purpose and it's planned. They're prepared. And at this point, they're just crushing it during peak season. There was only one company that I truly met with, that was having a little bit more of a difficult season. It was a smaller moving company. They're only about 4 years in. But other than that, man, I've been thoroughly impressed with what I've been seeing, whether it be the training aspect, the culture, or the care. It's been a fun tour so far.
Yeah. So I went down to when I was in the Bronx, New York area, I went down to this moving company. I forget their name. I don't know if it was Freeway or whomever it was, but they had a really big operation in a nice, dispatch yard and stuff like that, where it was probably like 7:30, 7:45. And I tell you, between all of the beautiful trucks they had laid out on like nicely parked, had all their guys rolling in, pretty much getting ready to go, had their mechanics going around pulling tags off of the windows, like, yeah, this truck has been inspected, this truck is good. It was just like a smooth operations, and I was like, oh wow, like there's a lot of people being dispatched this morning.
Yeah, if I can
Yeah.
speak to that, Dwight, back in Ryan, sorry about that. So back in 2018, I was dispatching for most of you guys. You guys might remember, maybe. I know I'm probably almost twice you guys' age. I'm 54 years old. And like I said, I'm 40 years into the industry, second generation. But I used to dispatch in operations for Grable Van Lines, which used to be the biggest independently owned moving company in the nation, and I was dispatching 55 to 60 jobs a day on average. I was doing 127 guys during the day in household goods. And then I was dispatching about 70 guys at night, which was the office and industrial for in Austin, which was Dell, Microsoft, Intel. I did that for 6 years. I lived in Bree. I ran that company like my name was on the side of the building, and I got a lot of experience, a lot of training in that. And that's kind of what has helped me with 300X, because not only do we have the academy part, but we have the network part and our labor, we cover labor in about 34, 35 states for companies. And so, what you're talking about, Ryan, there's a new breed of movers that a lot of these local companies are turning into big companies because of the transition of the owner operator, the old school guys, the old owners are getting out of the industry because they don't want to deal with technology. They don't want to learn the new ways of the AI, the technology stuff. So there's a kind of a handing over of a baton, if you will, in the industry. So the innovation, the leadership is very different, much more involved than some of the older generations that are, that grew van lines and stuff like that. So I liked when you spoke to that, because that's what we've been following. And like I told Dwight, our training focuses from the dispatch window down to the street, right? So we'll be at some of these big companies in the wintertime doing some training with them. We've already got some dates set for some of these big companies to help them, with their skills, with their movers etiquette, claims prevention, that type of stuff. So I appreciate your input there, Ryan.
Now, I got a question for you, Ernie. Obviously, you've been around the block. I'm not much younger than you, believe it or not. I wish I was half your age again, but maybe it's a backwards hat that makes me look a little bit younger here.
Yeah.
But from all that you've learned, second generation, what is the common theme or mistake or issues that you're seeing when you're going to these moving companies from that dispatch point to basically the boots on the ground? What are moving companies getting wrong? What are they doing wrong? And how can they go ahead and tweak that depending on what's wrong? Is it a simple fix? Is it a cultural? What is it? What are you seeing out there? And what's the common problem that not even problem, but what are you seeing out there on the streets?
All right, guys, my name is Brandon. I'm with Mack's Move Management, and here's 11 steps on how to have a perfect move. The first one, the office should call, or your dispatcher should call the customer 2 days prior to arrival. The reason for this is just in case the customer has a closing on the house, maybe they weren't able to secure, a babysitter for the child or a pet sitter. You definitely want to call 2 days in advance. This helps the customer be prepared, and you make sure that you as well know that you're going to a customer that's also prepared. 2, the crew should also call the customer prior to arrival to the home. After the guys have already geared up, you got all your equipment in your truck, you got your address punched into your GPS, go ahead and either the driver or the helper, give the customer a call or a quick text, let them know that you're en route to your location, and provide them with the ETA. This also sets the expectation for the customer to be back home just in case they want to drop their kids off to school. For the third one, look to keep the customer happy, break the ice in the beginning. So pretty much this means when you walk up to the house, knock on the door with your best mannerism that your mother taught you, or father. You knock on the door, introduce yourself. Hi, my name is Brandon. I'm the foreman. This is my helper. And you introduce the team that you have with you.
Ryan, I really appreciate that question, because this is something that I've really worked hard on. There's the old school mover and there's the new school mover. And because I learned from the old schools and I'm adapted to I kind of like, I'm in middle school, right? I'm in the middle school mover. But the one biggest factor that I see is the disconnect. The disconnect in the sense of the people leading not having movers experience. They're just business owners, or they run an operation, but they don't have empathy And you hit it earlier when you talked about they don't have the empathy for the guys that are in the heat, in the cold, whatever it may be. So, one of the things we teach in our academy is just what you spoke about earlier. The performance you get Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is not the same performance you're going to get Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. You can't go put guys just because they're the best guys in your team, on 20,000-pound locals all week long and then expect the same performance. You're going to burn them out. And we tell people, even owner operators, you hire 3 guys on Monday and Tuesday, especially in the end of June or the end of July, you're going to have to hire 4 or 5 guys on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because those guys are burnt out. And so there's a disconnect when the leadership does not have moving experience. I think some of the best companies, some of the best leaders in our industry are guys who know how to pack, wrap, and load trucks and have moved up in their company, and they understand the grind that goes on in the street. They understand how the guys deal with customers and obstacles. So to me, that's the biggest gap to fill, is that disconnect of not having someone in your leadership that doesn't understand what goes on in the street.
So
I love
I would say to that also, you also got to realize there is that disconnect of management training to field training as well. So like let's say you do move person up from a mover to a driver to ultimately that person becomes a dispatcher. That person mindset is still likely acting as a mover. So they're, especially if they build a friendship with those guys in the field,
Correct.
it's the favoritism.
So yeah, when I was in operations, when I moved into dispatch, one of the things they told me, Ernie, you'll never be a good dispatcher because you think too much like a driver, too much like a mover. At the end of my 6 years, they said I was the best dispatcher that company ever had, because I made the transition, but I never lost the empathy for what was going on. And one of the things with me is I would never go home until my last crew was coming off the street. I promised my team, I'll either come out to get you out of a bad situation, or I will be waiting for you to come home before I go to the house. Man, those guys would do anything for me because they knew they weren't going to be, hey, my dispatcher's at home. We're still out here 7, 8 o'clock at night. He's already having dinner, getting ready for bed. I became a part of the team. I became, it's like the movie, like no, everybody's coming home, and so I earned a lot of respect from those guys very quickly, because I always had my shirt at 5:30, 6 o'clock when my day at the office was done. Whoever was in trouble, I headed out there and I became part of the team to get them off the street.
I hear that. Shoot, for me, I'm just saying, like once it gets like 7, 8 o'clock, I'm home. But I am up until like the last crew is in. So there's been times where, I'm dozing off, but it's like 2 a.m. Dang, the crew still ain't in yet. Let me give them a call. Hey, where you guys at? Oh, we're finishing up the last few bit or whatever the case is. We'll call you in about 30 minutes. Damn, 30 minutes. All right. I'll be up. And and I would say that was my thing, where it's like, hey, I won't, we will always be here to answer the phone if you guys are, just need us or whatever the case is, or I would be at least be. And hey, at 2:30 in the morning, I'm talking to that customer, and the guy's been out there all day. So I'm talking to that customer, hey, how everything go? Is everything good? Did they put everything where they needed to be put? Just like if it was a normal hour. And and at the end of the day, hey, let's get those guys out of there. Oh, snap, these guys were scheduled to work the next day. Hey, you guys take the next day off. I'll figure it out. Try to get some guys in here because I know you guys are scheduled to be back here at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and we didn't expect this job to be this long. And ultimately we'll figure it out. Get those guys a day off, because otherwise, those guys coming in, or they may not even wake up. Now you're dealing with all the whole crew, no call, no showing on you.
I hear stories. I actually heard a story last week about a job that was supposed to be X amount of hours. And it's crazy you mentioned the 2:30 in the morning, because at 2:30 a.m. they're still at destination. And it blows my mind away. Customers don't want to deal with that. They don't want you in your home probably past 6, 7 o'clock, let alone 2:30 in the morning. I don't want my guys out that late. I mean, you're talking that's a 16 potential hour day. Safety, the crew still got to drive home. You're talking claims. How do we stop that?
Well,
Where
believe
did
it or
that
not,
job
Ryan.
go? Where did that job go so rogue is kind of my piece. And to me, it starts right with that first phone call. Did we know what we were doing? Why did we did? I'm telling you right now, if I was a dispatcher operations, I would have called. It would have been all hands on deck situation. I wouldn't have gotten that call at 2:30 or 1:30 in the morning. I would have known about it at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. that, hey, Ryan, not sure who booked this one, but oh boy, look at this thing. This is where when crews are finishing throughout the day, as I'm sure Ernie would have done as well, hey, this is an SOS call. We're setting all hands on deck. We can't be having jobs go till 1, 2:30 in the morning. I know it happens in the industry, but talk about burning guys out, claims, potential accidents. Uh, no.
But
At
another
that point, yeah, at
that,
that point, it's a service failure. It's a service failure at all levels. It's yeah.
yeah, no, and to that point, it's to the point where even if you do your two follow-up calls from a dispatch standpoint to the customer, your 7 day and your 2 day pack and checkup, how's everything going? You ready to move? And they say, yeah, we're ready to move, blah, blah, blah. We're just still getting a couple of things tidied up or whatever the case is. And then the day of the move, oh, we didn't have a chance to pack all of this stuff. So we're probably gonna need the guys to pack a little bit. And then, oh, well, we got an extra stop on after they load up. We got to go to a storage facility and load up some stuff there and then go to the destination. And you come down to realize, all right, it's around 6 p.m. They got there, say between 9 and 10, and they're still loading up, because they had to do the packet as well. And you're just like, okay, hey, after you load up and you load up the storage facility, we're going to call it and we're going to have to come back out probably the next day, even though that's going to inconvenience the schedule because we need that truck for the next day. The customer now, is obviously furious because they're like, well, where are we going to sleep? We need our stuff. And you're kind of like, it's 6 p.m. already, and the guys, or even 7, and the guys just finished loading your whole house. How long do you think it's going to take for them to offload everything, put stuff back together? And now either you deal with the double-edged sword, the customer is either going to be very furious at you, which can obviously end up being a bad review, or you sacrifice your guys' fatigue, and of course when you ask your guys, hey guys, how you feeling? You guys want to call it a day today? And they're like, oh no, we got energy, and you're just like, come on, I know you're tired.
Hey everybody, my name is Dwyght Mack with Mack's Moving Training. So we're going to be doing a move and a pack today. But before we go in, there's just 10 basic rules that we just need to know before participating with this service. So number 1, understand moving is a very, very stressful thing. The customer, they're uplifting their life from one location to another. They're having to call all these vendors and get all these suppliers in place so that basically they can make that transition. So their stress level is at the highest right now. We need to be a service provider that comes in and basically keep that stress level mitigated or very low. Come in as professionals and do our job the way we know how to do our job so that this customer is less stress during that move process. Number 2, be on time. First impression is everything. You guys showing up outside of the window rubs the customer the wrong way. It messes up the rest of the move process. Even if you guys do the best job y'all can do, because one thing was off, this customer's mood is just off. Go up and beyond, be there before the time, as long as they're okay with it.
Or, you sacrifice your guys' fatigue. And of course, when you ask your guys, hey guys, how you feeling? You guys want to call it a day today? And they're like, oh no, we got energy. And you're just like, come on, I know you're tired.
In my opinion, at that point, when you're getting the 5 p.m., 6 p.m. phone call, hey, we're just leaving origin, heading to destination, already a mass service failure. How does ops not know what's going on that job site until 5, 6 p.m.? Where was the check-ins? Again, this is where leveraging that technology aspect, and I'm not saying old school mover versus new school, because I see a hell of a lot of old school movers embracing technology every single day. It truly makes their lives better. We look at what we require drivers to do at this point. They've got to manage their truck. They've got to manage their crew. They've got to manage their customer. And oh, by the way, they got to manage 2-inch thick worth of paperwork after a 10-hour day. We're asking too much. That's why, in my opinion, the industry is losing drivers. These guys can make the same amount of money, if not more, eating cheeseburgers and bumping docks. So why not leverage technology to make these drivers' jobs a hell of a lot easier, where they can manage the crew, manage the customer, manage the truck, they can bring out the tablet, and they're done. But back to the other piece, expectations on these things, like, blows my mind away. Why are we, and you brought up a good point, Dwight. I don't know if it even meant to do so, but when the move coordinator is calling, or your ops, or whatever your workflow is, when you're calling to check on a customer, the 7 days, the 3 days, 5 days, whatever it is, when you ask questions like, are you ready for your move? What do you think the customer is going to say? Of course, they're going to say yes. But in our minds, when we say, are you ready? That means, are you packed? Are you this? Are you labeled? Are you organized? They don't understand our language. They don't know what we're looking for. And we ran down that rabbit hole many times where our move coordinators would say, hey, Dwight, are you ready for your move tomorrow? And the customer's like, yes, I'm ready. And okay, boom, we check the box, we move on to the next call. Our crew shows up, they're half packed. The snow's not shoveled off their sidewalk. They didn't put salt down on the ice. Again, Northeast problems here. And it was like, man, why are we having these issues? Once we started peeling back the onion, unpacking what we're asking, again, we didn't know this until we started recording calls, but the question should be, are you completely packed? I see it here that we've got roughly 122 Are you ready? But asking the night before or 2 days before is already too late. This is where you insert that technology piece, shoot them that virtual link, have them spend 4 or 5 minutes and brag on, show them your packing, show them what's been done. So you can see it 7 days, 5 days. You can start planting that seed for a potential, hey, we can, up value some packing here if you're not ready, but calling the night before, asking the customer if you're ready for your move, to me is, you're going to lose more times than you're going to win. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, Ernie.
Yeah, no, I agree. I know we're coming close to time here, if not over, but I'm a big guy on the pre-move call, and yeah, especially from an operations side, asking the right questions, introducing the crew. Hey, we're gonna have a 4-man crew. You got Ryan, you got Dwight, you got Ernie. Ernie's gonna be the crew leader. And we're gonna get there. We're gonna introduce ourselves. We're gonna lay floor protection. Before we move anything, then we'll do the walkthrough. We're gonna take a break at 15-minute break at 10. We're gonna take a 30-minute lunch at noon. I give them the plan of the day of what's going on. But speaking to what you're talking about, I'm not, because as I told Dwight, we don't focus from operations up to ownership, so we're not really, with the new processes that the AI systems, we focus down from the dispatch window down to the curb to make sure that what you're advertising as a customer, I mean, to the customer base, is matching the service that they're getting out on the street. But you're exactly right. I mean, I get criticized a lot because I teach 8 to 8. The days are 8 to 5. At the end of the day, you're dealing with customers who are human beings. At the end of the day, you're dealing with a crew that are human beings. Everybody's a human being. We all wear down mentally, physically. And, there's no reason that a crew should be out at a job at late. Paperwork signed, truck in order, pads folded. You should shutting it down by 5 o'clock and back at the yard, depending on where you live, with traffic and all that, headed back. To me, if those issues are not handled by 10:30, the crew, if they're a knowledgeable crew, they're going to know by 11 o'clock that day, they're in trouble. They're in trouble, and they need to be communicating with operations, not at 5 o'clock saying, hey guys, we still got half the house to load. And that's not that's somebody's not on their toes, dealing with any of that. Yeah.
Well, we also got to realize, especially, and I know we are at the time, yeah, so I'll kind of leave it on this piece. One, like Ryan said, leverage technology. Live switch is so simple to use nowadays that it's one of the go-to. Look at him go.
Hey, little plug to James and team here. I love this hat. Yeah, it's one of my favorite hats.
Oh,
I
no, I'm gonna
just
talk to
move hats
James.
over here, but
You're gonna send me one of those hats. But nevertheless, yeah, live switch is a very simple tool to use for dispatch, for sales, for whatever you need to make sure that your jobs are going well. It's a matter of just sending a text link and somebody clicking a button inside of the text, and wow, they're on video. So this can alleviate that situation. You do your 2-day follow-up with that customer right before the move. Hey, I'm going to send you a link. Let's do a walk around your house. Make sure you're as prepared as possible. If there's anything that we need to make sure that we need to put in order, we can do our part as well because we want your move to go as smooth as possible. We estimated you for a certain time. We want to make sure that we stay within that plus or minus 10% of your estimate so that basically everything goes off smooth. You're happy. Our guys are satisfied. You get the best top-notch service. Okay, that sounds amazing. What do I need to do? I'm going to send you this link right now. We go and you go from there. But yeah, just make sure you guys are leveraging whatever you can leverage. Obviously, yes, it does start from the owner and or the general manager understanding this efficiency in technology to pass it down to operations, then pass it down to the movers. So yes, it is a trickle down effect, but basically everybody need to be on the same level, rolling out the red carpet for that customer, making sure that your marketing matches what you deliver in the field. So make sure you guys stay up with it. Ernest, I know we can probably go on all day about this conversation. So we'll definitely look to have you back. But for everybody else, we are at the top of the half an hour marker. And
Bottom of the hour.
and basically we will see you guys next week, pending Ryan's busyness. And Ernest,
I'm
thank
home.
you.
I'm home for 2 weeks before I hit the road again. So next week I'll know what day is what day. I just got to
So
finish it this week.
Ernest, if you want to leave your calling card, let people know where they could find you if they're looking for additional help.
All right, no problem. I appreciate you guys. Ryan, nice meeting you. Hopefully we can communicate a little bit on some stuff you got going. Maybe we can collaborate. But Dwyght, I really appreciate you. You and I tried to connect about a year and a half ago, and now we're down the road, and here we are doing this. So I really appreciate the invitation. Thanks for your time. And like I said, I'm 40 years, but I'm still a student in the industry.
All right, gotcha. Ryan, want to take it home?
I want to take it home, but shoot, I'm going to be in, just for Ernie, I'm going to be in Austin August 19th and 20th or so. So if you want to get together, man, I want to pick your brains. I've got millions of questions. I wish I wasn't late to the show. But yeah, no, I want to pick your brains, man. Let's exchange some info after this one here and love to chat further.
All right, see you, Messenger.
All right, Ty. So
All right,
we'll see y'all
thanks.
next week. Keep crushing it out there. Keep crushing it. Use moving force if you guys are getting burnt out, because I know you're trying to work 7 days. So moving force can replace some of your crew members. And with our new dynamic pricing, it's a no-brainer. So, all right, y'all. Y'all take care. Later.
Thanks, guys.